In today's Doctor Who product review, I'm going to be taking a look at another Demon Music Group Doctor Who vinyl record release, this time round another 60s Doctor Who Dalek serial, this is the second Doctor era, being The Evil of the Daleks, of course originally intended to be the final end of the Daleks back in 1967, after Terry Nation had plans to take the Daleks to other areas of the world that didn't involve Doctor Who. Now of course previously in this series I have already reviewed the first Doctor story, the Daleks Master Plan, and much like within that review, this video is in fact going to be a 2-in-1, taking a look at the Demon Music Group collector set that is in front of the camera right now, and then in the second half I will be taking a look at the episode itself in an episode review format. So the recommended retail for this set is £69.99, however, much like the Master Plan set, the price is in fact fluctuating, so if you are interested by what I say throughout this review, basically just keep an eye out and you may be able to get a good bargain on buying this product. As per usual, there is of course also two different versions available. There is of course the red version, which is just a standard red translucent vinyl with no pattern on whatsoever. It is in fact available to be purchased from a number of different retailers, and there is also the Amazon exclusive version, which I will be reviewing today, which does have a little bit of a Scaro splatter on, which is rather interesting and unique. So taking a look at the artwork itself, as you can see this product is in fact in a rather similar design to that of the previous vinyl record of the Daleks Master Plan, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Once again it is using a rather focused colour scheme this time round, so we do have a rather lovely red warm design which is almost emanating from the very middle where we have the Dalek Emperor, and then of course around the sides we also have this rather bluish pattern once again with darker blacks coming around the side to represent almost the walls of the Scaro City as seen throughout the later half of the story. At the base of the Dalek Emperor, we do have a series of destroyed Daleks that look like that they've seen better days. So we have, of course, the bottom of a Dalek here with all of the weaponry blown out, and we even have a few sparks and things coming around the side along with the armour almost being melted from the heat, and we also have a Dalek dome there at the very bottom as well, which is a really cool touch. Taking a look at the opposite side, once again we continue that damaged design where we have a further piece of body parts of a Dalek, including some top barrel sections, and of course a few more weapon pieces in there as well. Of course, the very centre of the artwork is completely dedicated to that of the Emperor Dalek, looking very cool indeed. I absolutely love this design once again. I love how it is very reminiscent to the other 60s Daleks, however has something about it that is very grand, and for 1967, a very impressive model indeed. Much like the Daleks surrounding him, we do have a little bit of weathering going on, as you can see, a few sparks coming around the side. I do also love how the main body section itself has once again been given this very fiery design, so it's not just a regular silver colour that you would normally expect on an accurate piece of merchandise. This time round the creator has this artwork has taken more creative license and used a lot more nice amberish colours around the very bottom, making him look very cool indeed, and of course really hitting home that evil sense that this story does of course possess. This box set does also continue a really nice and consistent design from that of the previous Demon Music Group releases from this year, including the new series 13th Doctor logo that has been given a rather nice silver embossing, and just below this, once again in the same font as the Daleks Master Plan release, we have the Evil of the Daleks title nicely printed. Bottom of the lid does also state that this is the original BBC TV soundtrack, which is a recording of the actual story itself, including the full cast, and then of course this release does also feature linking narration and visual description by Fraser Hines, who does of course play Jamie McCrimmon. As for the back of the case itself, I would just like to thank the Demon Music Group for how incredibly pleasant they make their designs, because once again we have another consistent design to that of the previous releases from the Doctor Who series, including the TARDIS exterior box within the Scaro City, along with the walls of course in the background, and we even have an Emperor Guard Dalek down the bottom here, with of course the black dome looking over ominously at the TARDIS itself, and once again, much like the front cover, we have this rather nice centre point almost of this orangey yellow glow emanating from the TARDIS windows, which is a really nice touch. As you can see, the box case itself is in fact a lot slimmer to the previous release, therefore a lot easier to fit on the shelf. However, as per usual, this has been made of a really lovely material. It is in fact a very thick cardboard to ensure that the vinyls on the inside of the box are protected and are safe. It'll give a really nice impression of quality for the product overall. For those of you that have collected the previous Demon Music Group releases, this design on the inside of the lid will be very familiar. It is of course the regular recreation of the Doctor Who Vortex, also seen on the Record Store Day 2019 releases. However, this time round it has been given a red and orange filter in order to be consistent with the rest of the product. Upon opening the box itself, we are greeted by, as per usual, this slip of paper, which, much like the previous Demon Music Group releases, presents the entirety of the cast as seen throughout this story, including the Doctor, as portrayed by Patrick Troughton, Jimmy McCrimmon, as portrayed by Fraser Hines, and so on, which is a really lovely inclusion. At the very top, we have the title of the episode, written by David Whittaker, and first broadcast on the BBC between the 20th of May and the 1st of July, 1967. At the bottom, we have a few additional credits relating to the product itself. So at the very top we have the theme music by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, incidental music by Dudley Simpson, special sounds Brian Hodgson, the Daleks created by Terry Nation, the linking credits relating to the actual story, and we also have at the very bottom the design of the actual vinyl product itself, including design and layout by Oink Creative, along with illustrations by Ellie Fennell and Daniel Ascom, who did also work on the Daleks Masterplan releases. Project editor is Michael Stevens, and the Demon Music Group project manager is Ben Stanley. So big thank you for all of you for making this product a reality. And flipping this piece of paper over, we are once again reminded of the really lovely artwork on the front, including the Emperor Dalek. However, this time round with no actual weathering or no sparks coming from the side of the neck collar section, or even any destroyed Daleks at the bottom. As with all Demon Music Group vinyl collector's sets, of course the different records are stacked on top of each other. However, we do have a really nice detailing on the side here that states that it is Doctor Who and the number of LP that it is, so you don't need to take it out of the sleeve in order to know what episode, which is very handy for when organising through them and to ensure that you have them all in order for when you next come to listen to the release, which is very handy indeed. It is also nice to see that once again, much like Masterplan, Demon Music Group have put in an additional piece of effort to ensure that the records are protected on the inside of the box, so we do have this pattern here, which I will be coming on to in a little bit. However, this isn't in fact the sleeve of the vinyl, this is an additional cardboard sleeve over the top of the actual sleeve itself, and then on this we do once again have your standard Demon Music Group design with the TARDIS in the very middle, and then on the back of this we do have what episode is featured on the vinyl itself. So for this one, for example, we have side G, which is episode 6, and side H, which is episode 7. Along with this we get the air date of the story, the casting details of who features within the episode, as well as of the production details as well, which is really cool. Then of course on the inside of this we get the vinyl records themselves. As with all splatter and inkwash vinyls, of course the design on the record itself will vary from each individual product. So if you do buy this set, the chances of you having vinyls that are very similar, if not identical to mine, are in fact quite slim. I do believe that each individual one are unique, even within this set. As you can see, this vinyl record here that is very orange in the very middle, with the almost washed design coming around the side in a rather cool manner. And then this one here is a lot more black in its design, so we have a few more smears and things coming around to the very centerpiece, which is nice. It's nice to have that variety in there. It makes the product a lot more interesting, and as I said at the very start of this review, you will only get these black splatter designs if you buy the Amazon exclusive version. The regular standard edition, which I do also believe may be a little bit cheaper, is in fact just a orangish red design that is plain entirely with no patterning on whatsoever. So of course at the end of the day it is only a colour, there's no actual difference with the contents itself. However, if you are a collector, the splatter version that is an Amazon exclusive is in fact also a limited edition, so for collectors no doubt in the future that one may be worth a little bit more value wise. If that is something that interests you, it will be worth considering. However, as for LP1, that does of course contain episode 1, this is where things get rather exciting for Doctor Who vinyl collectors, and is one of my favourite parts about owning these vinyl records, because it's really stunning and really cool, and I just love the way that they managed to do this. So here we have the first part, the non-exciting side. So we have once again a rather nice visually pleasing design of the black stretching around with the orange. However, if we flip this over, it contains a design that is very unique indeed. So there is no actual material on this disc. It is just a clear design, so you can touch it as much as you want. However, as we can see, we have this design of the Emperor Dalek from the story. Once again, pretty much a exact reuse of the cover, however this time around it has been physically etched into the vinyl itself. So we have the orbs here at the very bottom, the tubing coming from the sides. For the most part the vinyl is of course black, which really nicely emphasises this design, especially around this head section here. We have the eye stalk and the occasional bit of subtle orange coming up at the very bottom. It is quite hard to show on camera, however that said, this is a lot nicer and a lot more impressive compared to the Masterplan vinyl, which although is cool, this one is incredibly cool. It pretty much puts that one to shame simply because of how stunning it looks. I just think it's a really cool idea. Of course, once again, this is only available on the limited edition Amazon exclusive version. I do believe that the standard deluxe edition that is available from other retailers in fact includes a TARDIS laser etched design, which I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I think it is exactly the same design that is also etched onto the standard edition of the Daleks Masterplan vinyl. So if anything, for simply just this etched design alone, maybe this might tip the decision a little bit, but I do certainly think, from not even owning the other TARDIS version, but I have to say, it will take a lot to beat this one. I think it is certainly, from a design perspective, it's certainly superior. Also, just as a passing mention as well, in July 2019, Doctor Who magazine did in fact release a deluxe edition of their regular monthly magazine. I do believe it was an exclusive to WH Smith, and in that magazine it contained a 7-inch vinyl of Evil of the Daleks, however including a few bits of additional material. Which side A, this basically includes the final of Evil of the Daleks, which is the fight sequence including the Emperor Dalek screaming "Do not fight in here," which is really cool. And then on side B, it basically includes all of the sound effects from the final as well, the final destruction, along with a final track, which is the Dalek voice session, which is really cool, which does of course feature the voice work of Roy Skelton and Peter Hawkins from Evil of the Daleks, which is a really cool touch. And the actual vinyl itself is in fact just a regular black as opposed to a red. And due to this being a box where all of the vinyls can stack on top of each other, you can very easily just sit this on the inside so that it is safe, as opposed to it just being in your vinyl record box without a home. Now it has a whole collector set to go alongside it. Another creative design choice from Demon is once you put the protective sleeves onto the floor, it makes up this really lovely image of the Emperor Dalek, this time round on a slight angle. However, it gives a much better look at the different details once you look closer within to the different panels on the Emperor Dalek himself, along with a number of different wires, of course stretching up from this and going to the roof of the Emperor Dalek control room. However, something that I didn't expect is once you flip around these slipcases, it once again reveals another design, and one that I in fact like more than the Emperor Dalek. Given that it is present on the front of the box as well as the leaflet, it is nice to have a little bit of variation, and for this particular design of slipcover, as I say, out of the two, I do like this design more. So again, we have the TARDIS exterior, this time round on the barren landscape of Skaro. Favourite part of this is the inclusion of the Skaro city, very reminiscent to the model used in the actual story itself, and then of course the colour scheme of the reds and the oranges, this time round almost working like a sunset on the planet and the sky of Skaro in the background, looking very nice indeed, even with the inclusion of a shooting star in the top left, almost making Skaro look like a pleasant place to visit, which I'm almost certain that it isn't. Evil of the Daleks, written by David Whittaker. Originally intended to be the final end of the Daleks within Doctor Who, after Terry Nation wished to pursue the possibilities of the Daleks having their own show, hoping to air it in America. Because of this background, I went into this story with the impression that it would be a pretty climactic invasion piece, coming together with a grand final showdown. The final episode itself is indeed that grand final showdown, and includes some rather impressive model work for the time of 1967. The Dalek Emperor himself is a great inclusion, and the presence of his voice, especially on vinyl, is absolutely incredible, almost making you feel like you are within the control room with the story playing around you, with its booming voice surrounding you. However, the early half of this story is not as grand as its climax, with a slightly different take on your usual 60s Dalek episode, picking up after the events of the Faceless Ones and the departure of Ben and Polly. The TARDIS is stolen from Heathrow Airport, and the Doctor and Jamie must try to get it back. As the opener to a Dalek story, it does feel rather unusual. Had the word Dalek not been included within the serial's title, I would have imagined that Doctor Who fans of the time would have been very surprised when the Dalek finally appeared near to the end of episode 1. The Doctor and Jamie befriend Edward Waterfield and Theodore Maxtable, played by John Bailey and Marius Goring. Both characters are excellent supports to the main protagonists and make the story run generally a lot smoother. They are a lot more than just your usual classic serial cardboard cutout set dressing characters. Edward's daughter Victoria has been taken by the Daleks, which causes a lot of emotional upset between Edward but also Theodore as well, who is used practically over and over again by the Daleks in their usual manipulative ways. It is soon discovered that the Daleks are planning experiments between what they call the human factor and the Dalek factor. At first, this absolutely baffled me. The introduction of the humanish Daleks within Part 5 are certainly a step further than I would have expected the classic series to take Doctor Who's most evil foe, calling the Doctor a friend and even playing some unusual fun games. It felt like quite a comedy and non-serious concept, which I'm not normally used to seeing within classic series Doctor Who. Both this humorous concept and the introduction of the Emperor Dalek reminded me of Russell T Davies' way of writing, having the Emperor's control room slowly light up, much like how it did within the Series 1 final two-part story, Parting of the Ways and Bad Wolf. And even of course this human factor idea was later used within Series 3, Daleks Take Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. However, RTD's way of writing is much more simplified and contemporary to suit that of the modern era. The Doctor and Jamie's relationship is also tested throughout each part, which I thoroughly enjoyed and is definitely one of the main highlights of this story for me, especially considering that the Doctor and Jamie's relationship is almost considered one of the biggest bromances within Doctor Who's history. Patrick Troughton is superb also. The end of episode 6, seeing him come face to face with the Emperor, might be some of his best performances that I have seen. Due to both the Daleks Master Plan and Evil of the Daleks being missing from the TV archive and only being represented through soundtrack and telesnaps aside from a few existing parts here and there, I find myself comparing both of these episodes, and naturally both serials have two very different plots. I do love the grand scale of Master Plan involving the delegates. Evil is much more focused around the Daleks' evolution, supremacy and experimentation, yet both serials I love the way that the climaxes are written. Slowly but surely everything comes together, yet both stories, in my opinion, do have the same flaw. The meandering and distractions within the story's middle on both occasions take me out of the action. I imagine that the target novelisations may adapt this story to be a lot more effective and precise, but dealing with the 1960s format of Doctor Who spread over 7 25-minute parts is sadly a frequent issue, having problems with timing and plots that constantly repeat different parts of the narrative. David Whittaker certainly decided to take the Daleks out of their usual 1960s formula, which I respected, certainly after the 12-part epic that is the Daleks Master Plan. I'm grateful to see the Daleks visit 1800s Earth, replacing the cold-looking spaceship scenes of Master Plan and Power of the Daleks with a much more natural, historic-looking house. In a similar way to the Chase and the Invasion Earth, it gives this story a visual identity. Without a doubt, the element that holds this story together is the characters. They feel real and personally affected. This range of character also gives the story further personality, accompanied with the different pieces of setting. The plot itself is okay. It takes a while to get going, yet comes together well within the last two parts. These same parts are what I will remember from Evil of the Daleks the most. A cinematic end to the Daleks with some nice representation of Skaro, along with some rather cool looking model shots and explosions. Due to this story being 7 parts long, which is pretty much your usual 1960s Doctor Who story length, I would certainly recommend giving this original television soundtrack a go. It certainly is much easier and more entertaining to listen to than that of Daleks Master Plan, being 12 whole parts long. If you decide to listen to Evil either through CD or vinyl record is completely down to you. If you love Evil of the Daleks as a story, then by all means go and buy the LP collector's set, as it's a perfect tribute to this 1960s Dalek serial. However, if you are a more cautious Doctor Who fan who may have not experienced this story before, or is simply just intrigued by the plot, maybe the CD or loose cannon recon is a better choice for you, as it is much cheaper to experience and it doesn't mean forking out £50 to £60 for a vinyl collector set. So in conclusion, for the Doctor Who, the Demon Music Group Limited Edition Evil of the Daleks vinyl record collector set, another really lovely product to add to the Doctor Who vinyl record collection. I think the artwork to start off with on this release is really what sells it. I think that Daniel Ascom and Ellie Fennell have done a really brilliant job. I love the fact that both this release, the Daleks Master Plan, and the previously released Record Store Day 2019 Doctor Who releases all have a theme when it comes to colour. Of course, the Master Plan release was rather blue and orange in its design. This one is a lot more ominous, using dark colours and of course that impact of red in there as well, really nicely creating an eye-catching cover, and of course the presentation of the Dalek Emperor in the very centre is really what makes this product stand out. I also love the addition of the embossed Doctor Who logo along the top, and I think that the colourised vinyl records are also a really lovely touch. I think the main thing about the Demon Music Group vinyl record series, especially of the 60s episodes, is that it makes for a really interesting way to experience the missing episodes of Doctor Who, because of course the television soundtracks have been available via the BBC library through standard CD regular formats now for a number of years. However, I think there is something about these vinyl records that just make the experience a lot more interesting, in particular the voice of the Daleks and Patrick Troughton, and the massive grand voice of the Emperor Dalek within this release is brilliant when represented in the record format. It physically fills the room and makes you feel like you're immersed within the actual adventure. Of course, the next release as a part of the Demon Music Group Doctor Who series is The Abominable Snowman, of course another Second Doctor story, in fact the episode that follows on after this one. Once again, the artwork looks lovely and very different to this release, and it is another missing Doctor Who serial, so it will be really interesting to see how a non-Doctor Who Dalek story works within the vinyl record format. Once again, the artwork looks lovely and very different to this release, and it is another missing Doctor Who serial, so it will be really interesting to see how a non-Doctor Who Dalek story works within the vinyl record format. If you are a fan of Evil of the Daleks and absolutely love this story, or absolutely love the 60s Daleks, or even the Second Doctor, then I highly recommend purchasing this product, because it is a really lovely way to experience the story itself, and certainly a lot more exciting than CD. And of course, by having this product in your collection, it is a lovely eye-catching thing as well to go and display, especially if you have Master Plan and the other Demon Music Group record releases from the past few years. As I said at the start of this review, the product that I have covered throughout this video is the Amazon exclusive version, which is a little bit more expensive compared to the regular version, which is also available by other retailers, and it is just a standard translucent vinyl as opposed to having the inkjet pattern. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the Evil of the Daleks vinyl collector's set, then please do leave them in the comments section below, and I will try my best to reply to them at some point in the near future. And do of course stay tuned on the Host Productions for brand new Doctor Who content every single week. And of course on that note, I will see you all next time. Bye for now.